didn't know if Sandra had, let us know about a month ago that her month of June might be a little tenuous with them, with Carl's change of job and now his new medical condition and them relocating back to California. And so with that said, thanks everybody for coming, and guess we'll start with any announcements of sorts. I know we have a couple committees that have some updates. So maybe we'll start with Bike the Rogue, Jeremy.
I think everybody on this call knows, because you've all been involved in the conversations, but yeah. Basically, Tim and I had a meeting about a week ago, just kind of the two of us on Zoom, trying to think through Bike the Rogue. And I think the conclusion we came to, and I talked with Becky and Brian, and I think they both pretty much concurred that it would be a good plan moving forward, is to go ahead and continue to plan for Bike the Rogue, but make Bike the Rogue less of a push for corporate sponsors, and in fact, not push for corporate sponsorships, and not necessarily push for paid registrations, but come up with a model whereby anybody that wants to participate in person can participate for free or make a donation. And I talked with Brian about that a little bit, and rather than putting a suggested donation, just leave it completely open-ended as far as the donation part goes. Brian was going to work on making some adjustments to the website. And then for the other part of that would be for people that don't feel comfortable coming here in person, that have in the past, give them the option of going on a ride of their own in their local area, taking a picture, sending it to us, and we'll recognize them as riding, and then perhaps send them a t-shirt, and then they would give us a donation, make a donation to Rotary. So that would be another, if they participate in that way, that would be a recommended donation. I think, do any of you guys, does that make sense, what I just said there?
Yeah, and then go ahead, Brian.
Get my mute turned off here. Basically then we wouldn't have, since there's no fees, then I'm not going to make it a program event. So with the Forest Service, so I don't have to worry about paying them fees. We would just show up that day and people can ride wherever they're, and we don't have a designated ride. If we don't have a designated ride, people just going to show up to ride and enjoy themselves, etc. Then we don't have to go through all the approvals and all the fees and all the other nonsense. So if that's what everybody wants, I'm all for that. As far as having rest stops,
does that allow us to put signage up, Brian?
If we put signage up, then it becomes an official event. Then I got to go through all the rigmarole. So that's the dilemma there. There's probably nothing to say that we couldn't put a few signs up right around town. But I wouldn't want to have signs out close to the federal areas, because once we do that, then I'm going to get my knuckles wrapped for not paying fees and registering and all the rest of the stuff. So I guess the question is, do we then have rest stops? If we have rest stops, it kind of looks official. So to me, it seems like we either have it be an unofficial event, we don't have rest stop, and maybe we have an unofficial rest stop, I don't know, but we don't do anything official, and that way I don't have to worry about the state and the city and the federal and all the rest of it. But I'm open for suggestions.
Brian, is there a prohibition of handing out a trip sheet to everyone with directions and then using chalk to put arrows on the pavement, either straight ahead or an arrow saying turn left? Is that okay?
As soon as we mark the route in any way, we're going to have people slapping our wrists.
Okay.
I think we can hand out a sheet of paper that has a map of the area and possible bike routes. But if we do anything more formal than that with arrows and showing you turn left here and you turn right there and so on, then we basically are trying to do something on the sneak and somebody's going to get upset with us.
I take it we could have someone stand at important turns as
Sure,
a
I don't see
human
anything wrong with
arrow
that.
and point, take this turn, please. And you know, and some of the routes, I think you'd only need 2 or 3 people to keep people on track.
Yeah, and I guess my only concern with this whole plan is that if we get people who've never done it before, we probably do need to have some people on the route pointing where to go. Otherwise, it's going to get pretty confusing.
Hey, Brian, my concern, there have been people asking online about it, and the website still has information for this year for 2020, and the Bike the Rogue on Facebook needs to be updated. So we need to take care of those 2 things.
Yeah, no, I was waiting for the meeting today to talk about it before I did anything on the website because I didn't know what to say for sure.
Okay, thanks.
Somebody on News and Views asked the question, and I posted a comment just saying that check in with Rotary, it's being talked about. So we do have the ability to use social media to let people know it's still coming, but it's going to look different.
I can post a posting on it on Wild Rivers Connect and some other places. I just really want to make sure all of our sites are up to date before I do that. So Brian, if you could confirm when that's good, I will work on some social media outreach about it.
I will do it today sometime.
Okay.
I have a question about it. Is there going to be, like there's, you know, we've always done the, well, wherever, like Buffington Park or something, like a beginning or an end for people who are local? Are we going to do anything?
Well, I've already got the park reserved and I see no reason to not reserve the park. It's just that we won't have, it will be a bike event and there will be maps given to people and there will be no official routes. So that way I won't run a crop of the Forest Service. You can use their property. I mean, it's public thoroughfare, so you can go out and use it. But as soon as we have an organized event that has a path across their property, then I got to go through the whole rain dance here.
Right. No, I'm just asking in terms of, you know, just how formal is this going to be if you start and finish at the park? Are we going to provide chips and soda or stuff like that? I mean, since it's being done very differently this year.
I'm open for suggestions. I still haven't canceled the pizza people. So as far as that's concerned, they're still on the docket. But it's not fair to not inform them what our situation is so they can make a decision whether or not it's worthwhile for them.
Yeah, my thought would be that, again, my thinking all the way along was that this was, given what everybody in our community has gone through, this was sort of a give back event rather than a fundraiser event, although I do hope we do raise some funds through it. But, and so with that in mind, if we have, let's say, a family that's never done it before, I'd like to have a presence at the park and be able to have some stuff for people to have there. So, I mean, my thinking is that the park portion of it wouldn't be that different than what it has been in the past.
Okay.
Other than we probably wouldn't have, bib numbers and all those types of things.
No, and we probably won't have official stations out on the route because that makes it look like a route and that makes it look like an official event, So what I'm saying is there's some kind of a hard stop, so we got to be careful we don't step over. Otherwise, it's become such a regular event. There's all kinds of people going to be watching us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure why it's such a big deal with the Forest Service, but it is. I mean, I get harangued incessantly by calls of what are you doing and how are you doing it? And did you sign up? And did you do a form 55-37 and so on and so forth?
Okay. No, I will, if we can get the information updated, I'll get the word out on social media, and we can move forward from there. We probably need to, Brian, Becky, Tim and I probably need to have a meeting probably sometime between the 4th of July and the end of July, sort of a final planning on what the pavilion looks like and all that. But, and I'll put out an invite for that meeting.
Yeah, just for further information, the website has been there. We have not received a single registration for the event. So that gives you some idea what the outside interest. I did receive a call back in January about whether or not we were having an event from the people down in California. What are they called? The wheelmen. And I said that it was, you know, as far as I knew, we were going at that point, we didn't have COVID or anything. And I said, go. So that is one person I will call and make sure they know personally that we've changed our mind. But other than that, I had no input or no requests or no anything.
I wouldn't tell them that we've changed our mind. I would just tell them that we've changed the model for
this year
program. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to have them scratch us off the list forever, but this year, because of the uncertainty with COVID, we're going to have a local event and with non-specific routes just for people to come out and ride their bikes.
Well, I mean, I know what you're saying, Brian, but is it really a non-specific route if we give them a map?
It's got lots of maps, lots of places where we don't have routes, but you know, it'd be wide open for people to ride their bikes. As soon as we have a route, I mean, I feel obligated to dot the I's and cross the T's and go through with the Forest Service and everybody else. I guess what I'm saying is I don't want to have a bad reputation going forward that we did something here that got somebody all bent out of shape. I think to not license ourselves and have a route that goes across there and, you know, sanctions are sanctioned. I don't want to have it look like we're trying something sneaky and then have that.
And is there a problem with us proceeding with the making it official then?
Not in a different year, but all these people require months of advance warning theoretically. I mean, I'm required to get all these permits a long time ahead of time.
Okay.
So if you just go by, you know, if you print out a map, looks like similar to the ones you get in cheesy, you know, restaurants that look like cartoon maps, so that people who aren't familiar with the area, maybe, they can look at that map and you can say, well, you know, this is roughly 5 miles, this is roughly 2 miles, this is roughly 20 miles. You know, look at the map and here's where you start and here's where you finish. And that's not official, but people aren't going to get terribly lost.
No, but I think what do we do that morning, you know, when we hand out the maps, you'll probably have a little discussion with everybody that gets the maps about the possible routes they can ride.
Right.
And maybe mark up that map for them on if you want to do X, this is how you do it. If you want to do Y, this, if you want 40 miles, you do this. If you want 25, if you want 36, if you want a 50, all the different routes they can take to get different mileages.
That to me is the easy way, well, easy way around it and not have to worry about being official.
That's right, because, you know, people ride bikes all the time here without permits. And so long as we fit in that mode, we're fine.
Sounds like a go to me.
I just don't want to have an official map and have it begin to look somewhat official and have somebody think that we're playing games with them. I mean, that's a integrity issue with me.
I get that. And I totally agree with that. Are we not in a position where we can get a permit at this point?
I have a blanket permit for 5 years, which still has 2 years remaining. So there's 2 permits you have to get. First of all, you have to get authority to get a permit, which is this 5-year thing, which just takes a lot of doing, and it's good for 5 years. Like I said, we have 2 years left. And then I have to get a yearly permit against the 5-year permit, if that makes sense. And I haven't done the yearly permit. I haven't asked them. And I got one inquiry, and I told him that it was unlikely that we're going to do it because of COVID, but I would be back in touch with him. And he said I had to have something to him no later than the 1st of August if we were going to do it.
And remind me, where does the Forest Service jurisdiction start? Is that beyond Lobster Creek?
No, it's as you're going out towards Agnes, the road that goes up to Schrader Old Growth.
Okay.
You know where that is? It's
Yes.
like a quarter mile this side of the turn to Lobster
Yes.
Bridge.
Yes.
That's about where it starts. And
Okay.
then you go across the bridge, that's all Forest Service. And then there's a little new house there that's been built about a mile towards the ocean from Lobster Creek.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I don't know if you know what the house is. There's a sign right there. So that's kind of the area. From that little cusp right there is all Forest Service land. It's
Got it.
about 2/3 of a mile to 3/4 of a mile that you're actually on Forest Service land when you go across the bridge and the rest of that stuff.
So if that had been a loop without Forest Service jurisdiction, then it's moot. But since it is, we gotta
Because
do
we
it.
have that
Yeah.
little chunk that we drive
Right.
across, we have to go through all the nonsense, yes.
Got it.
But if that's not a set route, if that's just something that you tell somebody, well, if you want to get 60 miles in,
That's right.
do it
So
by
long as
yourself,
it's
because you and Sandy do it, right?
all the time. And,
Right.
bikers from out of state do it. And so long as it's a non-sanctioned event or whatever you want to call it, to just say people go out and ride their bikes, here's maps of the area.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel kind of uncomfortable with that though, too. That feels almost a little shady because, I mean, my intent would be to do some publicity around this event. And I don't know how to me, that seems a little.
Well, it's kind of black and white. If we do publicity, too much publicity, we're going to get in trouble. So either we make this a sanctioned event.
I would like to go ahead and get the permit. That's my
Okay.
thought. Does anybody have?
It's $100, $115, I think, for the permit. Other than that, there's no money I have to pay anybody, but I do have to go through with about 7 or 8 different permits. There's the county, there's the city, there's the sheriff's department, there's the ODOT, there's and ODOT specifically has to put up signage. There's the highway patrol, there's county road department because I have to mark the roads and that's always an issue with them. There's a bunch of people. I mean, so I'll just plan on doing all that.
Why don't we just have our group get together and have a meeting and discuss all of it and figure it all out?
Yeah, I think that's correct, Becky.
Because we need to get together where we can understand and write down stuff and figure it out.
Do you guys have the ability to? Well, first of all, let me ask the 3 of you. Do you guys want to meet in person or do you want to meet on the phone or online?
Either way.
Any way is fine.
Becky, do you have a preference?
Person's better for me just because my computer doesn't work that great.
Do you guys have the ability to meet tomorrow by any chance?
Sure, 1 second. Let me get my calendar here.
Time.
What time would work best for you, Becky?
Thursday. I'm pretty open tomorrow. I can do noon or I can do after 5:30 or at 5:30.
I have a noon staff meeting, but I was thinking after 5:30 or would work for me if that would possible for you guys.
I could do that.
Okay.
I can.
5:30 at the library then, or?
Yeah.
Could we make it at least a quarter? I've got a meeting that goes until 5:30. Could we make it at 5:45?
Sure.
Becky?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Yes. So let's hold off then, Brian, on the website until we get all this completely nailed down in person.
Okay. because to me, it's really kind of black and white. I think it's really hard to do something halfway in between here.
I agree, and at this point, it's my preference, but I want to make sure everybody's on board with it, that we make it more official. But I also don't want you getting stuck with all the work, Brian. So we need to sort that out.
Yeah. Well, right now, the only work that I was planning to do on this was get all the permits, I think, and
Well, okay, but let's work through it tomorrow.
okay. But the signage is a big deal. There's 2 days of work just to get the signs up, and then another at least full day to get them down. So that's a big deal.
Okay. All right.
Right, I have a question, and Tim, this goes to you a little bit. I asked Jeremy if we could record this, thinking, you know, I'll put it on the website, and then we can let the club know that you know, what we're about, that
Sure.
we're doing this. You've done it before, sent me the MP4. I'm not sure how to do that, so if you could just let Jeremy know, if assuming you don't know Jeremy, just how to get me the MP4. I assumed you just sent it.
Yeah, it's just at the end of the meeting, it saves the recording, and when it's done, then you've got a file. And
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a problem. I will, if it's too big for me to send via email, Becky, I'll make sure you have a link to download it.
Okay,
all right.
Or, sorry, Denise.
no problem.
Yeah.
I didn't think Becky would want to do it.
All right. Well, before we go to the next
Denise, when you get that file, depending on the format he gives it to you in, if you can't read it in Power Director, there's a download you can do. It's called Handbrake. And Handbrake is a program that will change from any format to any other format for you.
Okay, usually they come in an MP4. So I've done the school district's meetings, the school board meetings, and put it on the website. No problem.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
All right. Before we go a little farther, I just wanted to acknowledge Jerry. It's great to see you here, Jerry. Yeah, super. And you know, and Jerry, I think is kind of the perfect example of maybe people that haven't been able to make our regular meetings. You know, when we met someplace, and actually I'll talk about that a little bit later if we're interested, as we move forward into next year and so on. But thanks, Jerry, and it's good to see you, as well as everyone else. Mary, as I recall from 2 weeks ago, you kind of were getting your arm twisted with Sandra about High on Health. Is there any updates with that, or?
They have been asking if we wanted to have a meeting with the Curry Health Foundation at some point to see what we were going to do.
Okay.
Because one thing we have to look at, and I probably mentioned this last time, is do we have any gift certificates that might be expiring that somebody may have donated?
That sounds like a Sonder question, doesn't it? I mean, I
I
don't.
don't know who was collecting things. I know I have a couple of things, but I don't know who else was collecting them.
Not me.
Yeah, maybe we can have what we have and donate it to prizes for Mike the Rogue.
Yeah, there we go. And I was trying to recall on the, was that September 19th or September 5th?
September 5th is the real Kentucky Derby.
Got it.
And I don't know if that's too soon to be doing something or not.
Yeah. I know there's some other events the fairgrounds are planning for, but that was later in October.
Oh.
Okay, so there's still
Tim,
a meeting.
I'll talk to the Curry Health Foundation and see if maybe you and I can meet with them and figure out. Okay. Very good.
Very good. we, any other reports of sorts?
I
Otherwise-
had a text from Sandra this morning. I don't know if you got it too, that Carl was having a bad reaction to the medication they have him on. So she was in the ER.
Oh, no.
And she said that she thought Tara was going to be signing in on this meeting. And she had something to share about the triathlon.
Okay. I'll put that down for next week, just in the events. Okay.
Just, this is Carl. Just if you've been following the Board of Commissioners, you may have noticed that they have given the Homeless Coalition notice that their lease will terminate at the end of this year, and that they will continue to collect rent for those 6 months. But if the coalition has matching funds and a new location to move to, they will refund that rent. I mention that because you may recall that the club and Doogie primarily paid for the washer dryer for the Homeless Coalition. There was some thought that this might happen. And so with a lot of foresight, that washer and dryer were installed across Moore Street in the Christian Health Building so that they'll remain available. They're being shared with the people there as well, so that when they get clothing donations, they can clean them. Homeless people can have their clothing cleaned, and the Homeless Coalition can get its stuff cleaned. And on a related basis, Doogie's +3 pin has arrived. And I'm still expecting a +4, but someone who knows Shirley should plan on getting together with her and delivering the pins at some point. Hopefully we'll have the second one within a week or two.
Thank you, Carl. Any happy thoughts? We can give you credit on paying the dollars, but any happy thoughts people wanted to share? I'll start. This Friday the 26th was the scheduled day for my younger daughter Zoe to have her wedding up in local TO, and when COVID did its thing, it kind of took things for a detour, but she and her fiance Alex decided last week, you know what, we're just going to go ahead and get married anyway. So they came through town last night and got their marriage license in Curry County, and they're headed down to Mendocino on Friday night to exchange their vows to themselves with cameras and a drone recording the whole thing. And then they're going to come back Monday. And last week I was officially ordained by the Universalist Church to be the ordained officiant. And so I'm happy to announce my daughter Zoe, and her marriage to Alex Hanhart of Seattle, Washington.
This is nice. Now we have.
Yeah.
This is nice. Now we have a holy man running the Rotary. This is good.
That's it.
Wow.
That's it.
Yeah,
Other duties as a
holy
son.
man. Carl did that for his daughter, one of his daughters. He was JP of the day or whatever you
Yeah.
call it.
$39.95, and that includes a wallet card and a nice frame for your certificate. And
Oh, there you go.
I had to get a certificate from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, but the town clerk refuses to let me have the original certificate. No matter how much I try to influence that decision by her.
Yeah. Very good. All right, some other happy thoughts or
President
news?
Tim, I have a couple of happy thoughts and
Please
sort
do.
of announcements. First is, in case you don't know it, Mike Hewitt has been marrying people for many years. He's ordained to do so, and has done weddings at the Cape Blanco Lighthouse, among other places. So just so you know that. Last night I attended a Metro Eugene Zoom meeting. Heather Edwards is their program person, and she brought in Ruma, who was from Pakistan, moved to Canada to get her bachelor's degree, went back to Pakistan to an arranged marriage, told her new husband that she wanted to continue her education, upon which time he blinded her and tried to murder her.
My goodness.
So she went back to Canada anyway. He went to jail finally, and she rose above the blindness to become a attorney. And it was an extremely inspirational program and presentation that really drives home the fact that Rotary connects the world. So if you check your 5110 newsletter, you will find an invitation from Heather Edwards to join the Metro Eugene. They've had the district governor from Santiago, Chile, talking about his club in the Easter Islands. During these times of virtual meetings, if you want to get some really interesting stuff, that's the place to do it. So that's an announcement from the district. Otherwise, as Cindy O'Neill puts it, the world needs Rotary, especially now.
Thank you, David. Any other announcements or thoughts? Yeah, Jordan?
I can give mine, even though my HVAC just started in my office and it sounds like a helicopter. I'm actually, I feel like there's a lot of things right now to be happy about. It's been a challenging few months, but for me right now, the library is open and summer reading has started, and we haven't had floods of people coming in. We haven't had floods of people signing up, but just the fact that our staff were able to pull together a program, and not just pull together a program for summer reading, but pull together a program that is structured in a way where people can do it pretty much in any way they want. So if they don't want to come into the library for anything at all, they can do it completely virtually. They can register virtually, they can track their hours virtually, they can request their prizes virtually. But for the people that don't have that ability, we have other options. So it was hard, but we in the end, I think yesterday we kind of looked at one another and said, we built something and we have something that we can use every year from now on if we want to, and we feel pretty good about that. I feel great about that. I have a great staff, so that's what I'm happy about.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Final call?
Oh, this is Brian. I guess one happy thought is we have yet to have anybody hospitalized in the hospital here for COVID. So we're still very lucky in this country that we have at least a little area around us that seems to be relatively COVID-free for a while here. On a knock on wood, I probably shouldn't have said anything, but
Yeah.
not being superstitious, that I think that's very good news for the community.
Are we still at just 7 total in Curry County?
Yes, and most of those are people that they don't live in the Gold Beach area. We had one test that came back positive in Gold Beach, but then it came back negative. So I think it was a false positive, the first one. But right now, as of this morning, we still don't have anybody right in the community here with COVID.
Well, that's good. Since Oregon is still climbing and everybody else is spiking.
Yeah, and of course, Northern California down there is, they're around, they've been holding steady in the 60s for over a month now. So that's awfully close.
60s, you mean like 60 virus?
60 cases, 60 cases that people have been tested and been positive. They are in the prison community down there, and they are in the migrant worker communities.
What a surprise.
Is that specifically Del Norte or?
Del Norte.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Well, hopefully our luck will hold.
Yeah.
Because boy, the bikes and the motorcycles and the RVs are up and down like crazy now.
Mhm.
'Tis the season.
The conversations I've had on workforce, the not so good part of it, of the story, of course, is that if you look at the demographics, the more affluent areas have very high unemployment with people in the service industries, whether they be restaurants or whatever else it is. It's running in the range of 70% of the people have been unemployed in the lower strata of the society. In the less affluent areas, the unemployment's a lot less. So it's really kind of an unbalanced situation out there where it turns out, if you look at the money that people were given, the $1,200 each, people who had more than $50,000 of income aren't spending the $1,200 they got. People that are less than $50,000 are spending. So, you know, it's an unfortunate situation where it doesn't look like this problem is going to recover quickly. It's and the unemployment in the lower ends and the more affluent areas is going to be a very serious problem going forward for a long time. Didn't mean to bring up bad news, but I think it's something that basically we're a service organization, and we have to worry about people in the community. And I'm afraid that one of our callings here is going to be looking at some programs probably going forward here to do something for people who are going to be strategically unemployed. I don't know another way to put it, but it's something we probably need to start thinking about as a club, to do something in conjunction with others to work on this.
Yeah.
Like what?
I don't know. Whether it's raise money, whether it's do what we can to provide some alternative means of income for these people, or I don't know. It's something I think we all need to think about in our own way. I know that I've been contributing to the food banks here in town because it's, you know, one way I can help, but it's not a strategic solution. It's more of a tactical solution. But I think it's going to be a very big problem. And I think at some time the government's going to get fatigued of sending money out, and then the problem's going to really hit.
Does anybody remember when the 3 months is up for what with the money we donated to the food bank to go into the valley to pick up the food? Remember we did 3 months and we figured we'd rethink it at 3 months? I don't remember whether that was July 1st or August 1st.
Yeah, I don't recall either.
I see Cindy at least once, if not twice a week, when I'm at the Homeless Coalition monitoring showers for the men of our area that are homeless. And I will, I saw her yesterday, I'm sure I'll see her tomorrow, and I'll ask her where she thinks we stand on that commitment.
Well, I probably have it in the minutes because we took it up at a board meeting. So I'll look it up, but it seems to me that's, you know, we're probably going to end up absolutely having to continue that. This is not going away.
Yeah. I think we should think about doing more too.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what that answer is right now, but it's something we need to address, I think.
Well, I think most of us would agree with you, Brian.
I think the south part of the county, though, is having a different homeless situation than we are here in the Gold Beach area. I think they're getting more of homeless families coming up from California that simply have nothing but a vehicle or a small RV to live in. And my sources tell me that the city of Brookings is being very much more open about dealing with that issue, and is actually talking. They have a grant to their police department, and they're having an honest discussion as to whether to hire another law enforcement official or to hire a real community outreach person who doesn't wear a badge and carry a gun to interface with the people down there that need help, which is very encouraging to hear if you think that's a problem we should be addressing.
I know Jordan was talking about a squatting problem where people come up and will find a vacant chunk of land wherever they can and just park. And I imagine that problem will get worse with time too. So in any case, you know, we probably need to work with the sheriff's department in conjunction with other people here to see if there's something we can do.
Did you just volunteer to be that liaison?
Well, I'm wearing so many hats right now, I probably wouldn't do it justice, but I will certainly help out if somebody else wants to head that up.
I was teasing you.
I know, but it's serious. You know, it's almost scary. I look at the numbers when we have these meetings twice a week with workforce, and when I look at the demographics of who's getting reemployed and who's remaining unemployed and who's probably going to remain unemployed, it is really scary. It is the people that are in the worst shape are the people in the worst shape. The people that can least afford are the ones that are being hit the hardest. And you know, I really worry about social problems as a result of that, where these people are going to get desperate at some point.
Well, I think that's true. The marginalized are going to become more marginalized. I talked to Jackie Antunes briefly the other day, and you know, she said as of that point last week, she wasn't getting a lot of clients, if you will, but she knows they're out there and they're going to start pouring in because of the poverty, the lack of jobs. Everybody's tired of being home, you know, alcohol abuse, drug abuse, blah, blah, blah. So there's going to be domestic violence and child abuse, and it's going to get worse.
Mm-hmm.
So much for happy thoughts.
Yeah. Realistic thoughts. I appreciate that, Brian.
Realistic,
Yeah.
The Homeless Coalition is looking for a location, whether it's in Gold Beach proper or outside of Gold Beach, that provides transitional housing as well as office and service space. The building they have, of course, has many cubby holes in it where different service agencies come and spend time and work with people, but they have no ability on that property to provide transitional housing, although there are motels in the Gold Beach area who are willing to help out if people need housing on a very short-term basis because of being victims of physical violence on the street or otherwise. It's encouraging, but you know, if people have nothing to do with their time and want to help, they certainly at some point will be looking for not just financial help, but support in the community and professional help to find the place that they need to have if they're going to continue to do the work they're doing.
Well, you've talked about, Carl's talked about, I guess Beth has talked about, whatever, the school up here at Ophir. Mary, is that on the market? Is it ever, do you know?
It's been on the market in the past. It just is in such bad shape. I mean, leaky roof. It would
Gotta
be
be
a lot of
mold.
money.
Okay.
There's probably
That's what I
more-
thought, that it would not be a great place.
But in the last month or two, they've cleaned it up. The trash has been moved. It looks like no one is living there on a 24/7 basis as there had been. I go by Sundays when I do my neighborhood watch, and other than 8 to 10 feral cats sitting on the old gymnasium steps, it looks like it is truly vacant for the first time since we moved here in 2012.
All right, well, we're coming, thanks for the good conversation. We're coming up to the end of our hour. I did have a couple programs prepared, but with that, I'm going to hold on that. Actually, one of the programs was about giving you an update on where we are as far as the school district around reopening schools. I'm sponsoring a community forum meeting tonight at 6 o'clock just to get some parent and community feedback. Once they kind of know the rules we have, then but it's good that then they'll be better informed in knowing the challenge that we have. Our preliminary analysis aligns with the board's goals of having every kid come to school every day. And so, but that's still under development. And then the second program was kind of a kickoff for the new Rotary year. And with that, we are a group now of 7 or 8 of us here, and we have 32 members. And so I think the challenge we have, and maybe it will start to become more opportune, is just to remind all of you that we do plan to meet at Buffington Park next Wednesday at noon. It's a bring your own sack lunch event. And I believe the conversation was to have this be recognition for Sandra and Doogie. Is that correct, folks, as far as our program? All right. So if we can make sure we get the word out, and again, it's kind of the theme of my presentation anyway. It's essentially a crossroads. There's a lot of things that those roads are crossing, whether we meet in person, do we meet hybrid, do we meet, a lot of conversations to have, but when you have a third of the membership or less, then it's difficult. So anyway, I'm going to look positively at next week, July 1st, and bring a friend, bring a fellow Rotarian, and let's hope for good weather and some celebrations and some remembrances. And then we'll kick off things from there. The last thing I'll just share as far as a calendar item is that District Governor Cindy will be in Gold Beach on the first Wednesday of August, on August the 5th. And so please, if you can make that a priority time to attend, that would be awesome.
Is that to look at, President Tim?
Yes,
is that
please.
to look at a service project, or is that regular?
That was just her regular visit. Her service project visit was like in mid-July, and I'll talk about that a little bit next week, because related to that is the deadline of having our district grant in. Carl and I have been talking about a couple ideas. One that kind of meets more of the essence of the grant, that includes some sweat equity, is the Kids Castle project in Buffington Park. And so I might put that in as a placeholder, because the deadline is next Tuesday. And then we can revise that and talk about it as well. But yes, so I'll give some more of those updates next week.
Thank you. Do you have any word on the senior center reopening? Are they going to?
I do, and I can again share that next week. But a 30-second version is they are there. I met with Janet Jeffries, the new head of the community center, yesterday, and they are preparing to reopen slowly. They are interested in having some groups like Rotary consider the community center. They've done a lot of updating and sorts. So we had a pretty candid conversation, and Janet is a former past president of a chapter in San Luis Obispo County, so she's very well aware of Rotary and how it works and all of that, and the challenges our membership's going through right now. And so it was a no pressure conversation, but I think there was also an opportunity to for us to see the work that they've done in the updating and how that may accommodate us for a possible meeting spot.
Thank you.
You bet. So with that said, we'll see Bike to Roke folks tomorrow at 5:45, and we'll see everyone else next Wednesday, July 1st at Buffington Park.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. All right, bye-bye.